No one understands the language of a Chinese CEO at the meeting until the single-dad black kitchen helper spoke fluent Chinese. The boardroom was suffocating. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the city, but inside, the air was heavy with silence. At the long glass table, executives shifted uncomfortably. Their suits cost thousands, their watches gleamed, yet every single one of them avoided eye contact with the men at the head of the table. Mr. Zhao. Chinese billionaire. Ruthless. Brilliant. And speaking rapidly, in Mandarin, his words filled the room like a storm. Sharp. Precise. Demanding, but there was a problem. No one in the room understood a single word. The company had been preparing for this meeting for months. The merger was worth billions. Careers were on the line, but their translator. Stuck in traffic. So the executives sat frozen, smiling weakly, nodding like fools, praying Zhao didn't notice their ignorance. James Whitfield, the American CEO, felt sweat trickle down his spine. He glanced at his board members, each one fidgeting with pens, clearing throats, pretending. It was humiliating. They were supposed to be professionals. Instead, they looked like schoolchildren caught cheating on an exam, and Zhao. He knew. Of course he knew. His eyes narrowed as his words grew sharper. He slammed a hand against the table, sending a pen rolling across the polished glass. The executives flinched, panic rippled through the room. If Zhao walked out, the deal was dead, and that's when it happened. From the corner of the room, where staff had been quietly clearing away empty coffee cups and trays of food, a voice spoke, calm. Clear. Fluent Mandarin. Every head turned. The voice belonged to Darius. The kitchen helper, a man most of them had never even noticed. He wore a plain white shirt, sleeves rolled up, a dish towel still hanging from his pocket. His skin glistened from the heat of the kitchen. His hands were rough from years of scrubbing, chopping, carrying, but his words flowed like silk. Effortless. Perfect. Zhao's tirade stopped mid-sentence. His eyes locked onto Darius. For the first time all morning, the billionaire smiled. He responded, in Mandarin, and Darius answered, not stumbling. Not hesitant. Fluent. Sharp. Respectful. The room froze. The executives, men and women who had dismissed Darius as invisible, who had probably never once spoken his name, now watched as he carried the entire meeting on his back. For the next 30 minutes, Darius translated flawlessly. Every demand, every proposal, every sharp negotiation point Zhao threw down, Darius caught it, turned it, delivered it back with precision. James Whitfield sat in awe. This wasn't just translation. This was diplomacy. Darius was smoothing tensions, framing words, keeping the meeting alive. Zhao leaned back in his chair, visibly impressed. For once, the balance of power had shifted. He wasn't speaking to James. He wasn't speaking to the board. He was speaking to Darius. When the meeting ended, Zhao stood, adjusting his tailored suit. He extended his hand, not to James, not to the executives, but to Darius. In business, Zhao said in English, respect is earned, not bought. He nodded once. Your deal is approved. Gasps filled the room. Billions, saved by a man who technically wasn't even supposed to be in the room. As Zhao left with his entourage, silence lingered. The executives turned slowly toward Darius, their faces pale. For years, they had treated him like background noise. A kitchen helper. A man carrying plates and sweeping floors. Now, he had just saved them all. James rose to his feet. Darius, where the hell did you learn Mandarin? Darius shifted, embarrassed. Years ago. I studied languages in college. I wanted to work in international business. But life didn't work out that way. He swallowed hard. My wife passed away. I had a son to raise. Bills piled up. So I took the first job I could find. Washing dishes kept food on the table. The room was silent. Suddenly, the suits and ties felt meaningless compared to the weight of his words. James cleared his throat, eyes burning with something he hadn't felt in years. Respect. You don't belong in the kitchen, Darius. You belong here. At this table. Murmurs rippled through the room. Some executives looked uneasy, others ashamed, but James pressed on. As of today, you're not just a helper. You're our new international liaison. Your salary, your position, it changes. Starting now. Darius's eyes widened. Sir, I don't know what to say. James smiled faintly. Say yes. Weeks later, Headlines spread across business news outlets. Kitchen helper becomes unexpected hero of billion-dollar deal. From dishwasher to diplomat, the men who saved Whitfield Corporation. Photos showed Darius standing beside James at press conferences, translating seamlessly, his once-worn hands now gripping microphones instead of dish towels. But the most important photo wasn't in the papers. It was one James saw in Darius's small apartment weeks later, of Darius's young son, smiling wide, wearing a brand new school uniform. For the first time, he wasn't worried about the next meal. For the first time, his father's sacrifice had turned into opportunity, and James realized something. Success isn't about money. Or power. Or titles. It's about seeing the worth in people the world ignores, because sometimes the man who saves your empire is the one you never even noticed was in the room.